There we go. All right, all right. Let's show. Let me pull that over there. I'm going to show that screen. Let me show that one. All righty. Let me. I'll stretch that out. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Okay. So, on the daily chart, the ES had the drop off on Friday. Today's October 14th. We had that big old drop on Friday, and we have yet to fully recover. We've had kind of a move up, right? We gapped up this morning. Yesterday morning, excuse me. This morning, we had kind of a sell off. But it does look like we're kind of rallying to the upside. The NASDAQ looks a little stronger. It might just be a little bit more exaggerated. But we'll see if there is anything in here that we can hop in on to the upside to see if we can get some sort of recovery efforts going. Let me see. This isn't a great area. It's not horrible. But I kind of like this down in here a little bit more. This was probably a better opportunity to go grab something. This might be slightly aggressive. So let's look at the NASDAQ and see if we can find anything on there. Need some context, right? Daily chart. The daily chart here looks pretty similar. The NASDAQ actually looks like it might be a little bit further down than the ES is. So maybe that means that we can find something and catch a move up. 15-minute chart, no. 10-minute. Nothing really going on in the 10-minute. Maybe on a 5, this will look better. Let's see here. No. 2-minute. 2-minute looks the same, right? You had this retest to this area. It's kind of sitting in this little area right here. Wasn't that strong of a move though, so I'm a little cautious about that, but I do think that our market is going to rally pretty good. So we're going to take that.
Order filled.
Oh, move your butt down to here. You go up here. You are going up a little bit farther. We'll go on a higher time frame and manage that. But for right now, I just want to make sure I'm in the right area here. What is that? Maybe a little bit lower than that guy. You always want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, right? Just because you find an area of interest doesn't mean that you're going to instantly turn around, dude. Ideally it does, right? But sometimes it needs a little bit of breathing room to be able to turn around. So that's why if you like these, what you call basing candles or a fight between buyers and sellers because the candles are so small. Some people, I think there's other terms that people use. But basically, you don't want to be at the very bottom of the wick because it might be that it comes down one tick below that or a couple of ticks below that, and then it knocks you out. And then you're like, well, I was correct. I just didn't give myself enough breathing room to be correct. So that's why I always kind of drop it down just slightly so I can do that. And my first target is usually pretty close just to make sure that I take some profit on the trade. Again, these are micros, so it's not like that big of a deal. But it's just a good habit to have so you aren't getting into trades, you're up a bunch of money, and then you give it all back. That's really not a great scenario to be in. But yeah, we'll see what this guy does. Hopefully we can peg this first target, give us a little confidence in this guy. It looks like we're going to probably hit it here in a second, which would be nice. Take a $20 profit, whatever this is. Let's see, that's like 15 points. And I think each point on the micro NASDAQ. Oh God, I'd have to look again. I don't remember. I usually trade the ES. That's why this is kind of foreign to me. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, it's $2 because it's 50 cents per tick, and there's 4 ticks, so it's $2. So 15 would be $30 for the first contract. Yeah, because on the full size, it's $20 for a tick. Sorry, $20 for a point. $5 for a tick. There's so many freaking numbers. Really, there's so many different contracts that it sometimes gets a little confusing trying to keep track of what all of them are doing all the time. All right, we'll drop it to a minute chart to see if I could find something in here. Once this gets filled, we'll go to a higher time frame and we'll manage that upper area. But for right now, I want to make sure that this at least has some movement in our direction before I pay too much attention to what's going on that far away. It's not going to do us much good if we're trying to manage that one, but we get stopped out. That one doesn't do anything until at least this one gets hit. And having a parabolic move up like that would be very, very doubtful that far away. So it's possible, but not super likely. And I don't think that maybe Powell's talking today. Maybe that's why we have some of that. Let me go to Forex Factory real quick. Oh yeah, Powell is talking. Oh, and of course he's talking in friggin' 10 minutes. This might have been a poor choice. All right. I don't know what he's scheduled to speak about. Let me see. More cautious than expected. Good for currency. Okay. This might have been a bad trade to get in because of Powell's talking. A lot of times when Powell talks, you'll get these just huge wicks up and down from volatility, fear, whatever you want to call it. It's common, right? I'm just more looking at it like hey, we have this massive drop off that wasn't really, it was like sellers entering the market, but it wasn't really like, it was in the middle of the night, right? Look at the candles at the bottom. At the very bottom down here, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of small. I'll make it bigger. Down at the bottom, it says 20. So that's 8 o'clock last night, right? 9, 10 o'clock, 11, 12. Like it sold off overnight, which typically means that it's lower volume. So if you want to get in on a trade like that, it's really not, you're not super concerned about what's sitting in here because most of the time it's created with lower volume, which could be either there were a ton of sellers or it could be that there was a lack of buyers. And the lack of buyers, it was just very easy for price to fall down because there was the same amount of sellers there usually is, but there was just nobody buying up anything that was going on. It does look like we're going to get stopped on this guy. Yeah. Yeah. See, told you. Yeah, so that sucks, but that's okay. I am a little bit more cautious now that I know that Powell is talking. That's not the greatest thing. I don't love that. You do have this wick over wick action here. Might be decent, but let's see what the ES has going for it. So the ES trade looks like it might have been a little bit better because it did, technically you'd go to like the top of this wick or the top of this wick and then the bottom of these guys here. So it would actually be, you'd be in the trade and it would still be working out for you what it looks like here. Technically we could hop in on that. But again, because Powell speaks in a couple of minutes, maybe not the best thing to be doing. I guess I should have come out here earlier. I just had some other stuff to do this morning. Let's see here. I don't know. Let's go look at gold. See what that looks like. We're going to go with micro gold, though. Micro gold's a little easier to afford. The daily, I'm pretty sure, yeah, gold's at all-time highs like it was. Traded this the other day. Didn't do too bad on it. We've had a couple of pullbacks into this area. Nothing getting down into anything of interest here. Looks like we might have a lot of selling pressure right in here. It's come back and touched it 3 different times. If we can get a break through it, that would be good. Might be a decent little trade, right? All those support and resistance traders. This would obviously be resistance. And then as you break through, it turns into support. Pretty simple. I also might be wrong about that. I've never really traded it. I just understand like the concept of it. But that's okay. I'm also really bad at like regular what do they call it? Technical analysis, like the head and shoulders and the cup and handle and all that stuff. I really have just never paid too much attention to it. Might be a good thing to pay attention to. Might be helpful. So maybe someday I'll do that. But I just want to hop into a trade. But usually when you feel like that, you should not hop into a trade. I know Bitcoin sold off because I felt it in my own account. Okay. That was a decent little trade right out of that area on a daily. It's kind of bounced up a little bit. It hasn't really made... It's got a little bit in there. 10 minute. 5. Okay, you have a little area right here that it could be coming down into. It's kind of almost touching already. Maybe we'll take that guy. We're going to do it with 4 contracts.
Order filled.
Ooh, immediately. Get up there. You down here. Okay, what is that? Oh, God. This one I definitely don't know the tick value of. It's very small, though. It is teeny tiny. This micro, I think, is like, oh, God, it's like 1/100th or something like that of the full size. It's super small. It's not very big at all. We're going to see here. What is our... I'm going to have to look it up because now it's going to bother me because I don't remember. Micro Bitcoin futures tick value. Yeah, each tick is worth 50 cents. That's what I kind of thought. It was very, very small. Yeah, teeny tiny. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to take a good amount of risk between these areas. It's also not moving a ton. It may just be because Jerome Powell is getting ready to speak and everything is getting a little cautious on what it's going to do. I don't know. And just like for the reason why I liked this area is because, again, you have obviously there was some sellers, right? It held off, and then it stopped, ate through them, and then busted through. And now it's coming back to retest that area. So it may be an area that there are now a bunch of buyers sitting there, which is the similar concept as support and resistance, right? You're it's turning in from resistance and it's turning back into support is the hope. I like to grab stuff on the kind of the beginning stages of like the first retest usually, because realistically, if there's a million orders sitting there waiting to get filled, the first retest is going to hopefully be the strongest if it can get deep enough, get enough of those orders and go. Now, sometimes it doesn't grab enough orders and there are sellers too close, and so it has to retest a couple of times before it really takes off. But typically, if you're going to get a lot of orders filled in a short period of time, it's going to be on the first touch of that area. So it's kind of why I do it. But it doesn't always work, right? Nothing always works in trading. We are getting a little bounce. I think we'll probably reach that target here pretty soon, in the next couple of seconds, hopefully. And then we can go to this higher time frame and manage this guy and make sure that we're not going to give it up too quickly, because I'm only in a 5 minute. There we go. Okay, cool. So we're up a little bit. That's good. All right, let's go to a higher time frame and see what's going on. We're going to work our way up here. All right, so you can see, these red lines in here, right? Those are kind of an area where obviously it held off some buying or some buying pressure, right? And the sellers still won. So getting out before that point would not be too bad of a thing. If it's going to get up there today, that's a maybe, depending on what Powell says. If Powell says something that's very pro crypto or good for crypto, it might get up there. But we're going to pay attention to what's going on here. I do want to go a little bit higher. Yeah, see, right? Sellers. We're going to try to get out before too much selling pressure is happening. I don't think we're going to even close to take this thing back to all-time highs, which would be up here. It obviously bounced off 127 twice. So that would be a heck of a trade to try to get all the way back up there. But it's not undoable. Maybe we'll manage it. Maybe later on I'll come back and check out. It might not hit a target, but it might be kind of building an uptrend on a lower time frame that we can move our stop up and move our target up and try and stay in the trade a little longer. We will see. It is also only a Tuesday, so technically, yeah, the market closes for an hour every day, but that's not a big deal. I'm pretty sure I'm using Apex Trader Funding. I'm pretty sure Apex lets you trade through that closing and they don't close your orders, but they might. I don't remember. We're going to find out, maybe, unless we get stopped out, which is very possible. Let's go down here. Okay, we really need a break of this high point. Is what would really kind of sell me that we're continuing our little uptrend here. But it looks like it's kind of fighting back a little bit. I know Powell speaks in 6 minutes. It is not the greatest thing by any means. I actually kind of hate that he's speaking. Whenever he does, if he says and it's not even really that he says the wrong thing. He just doesn't say what people want to hear or what they expect. And it either sends the market sailing or it sends it sailing down. But either way, it introduces volatility. And actually, if you're going to introduce volatility like that, the better thing to trade is like options, which you can't trade on Apex. I don't think there's any prop firms that let you trade options. So not really a doable thing here. Alrighty. Yeah, you can kind of see my totals down here. My total P&L, I'm still down $15 from that other trade. So even though I took some profit off of this guy up in this range somewhere, I'm still down on the day. I don't know. I think we're going to leave it alone and let it bounce around and do what it's going to do. Let's go over here to the ES. What's the ES doing now? Oh, so the ES wicked through that area. I say wicked through because on a higher time frame, like a 5 minute, it's going to look like a wick, which you can't even see it. It's so small. This one, it's still kind of ticking back up though. So again, I'm not opposed to taking something. What is the NASDAQ doing? Yeah. Kind of sitting. I think everybody's waiting for Powell to talk, is what it seems like. Maybe we'll go mess with like natural gas or platinum. What's platinum doing? Platinum is very expensive. I have to be very cautious of what I'm willing to trade on platinum. Because you can blow an account up real quick trading something as big as platinum. For sure. Natural gas. I'm pretty sure the micro natural gas is what was giving me a hard time last week. Context daily. So natural gas does have a seasonality, and I'm kind of surprised that we have not seen kind of that bump up. But it looks like, looking at last year's data, is November is when it kind of started to tick up. So we might have a little bit more down until we get those big uptrends from cold weather moving in. I mean, you could technically go look at the weather report for like the Midwest, especially, and see, hey, when is that cold weather kicking in? But I know that they had snowfall in the mountains in Montana and Idaho, and I think even Washington. So there's stuff going on. It's getting cold. It's just natural gas is still kind of selling off, which is interesting. Oh, yay. More data. Did that work? Nope. There we go. Can't see the low. All right. Of course you can. Why would you be able to? 25 days is just a lot of data to be pulling out. And so it makes it kind of hard sometimes for these computers to load that much. On a higher time frame, it's not really that big of a deal. But for like when you get into a minute or 2 minute chart and you're trying to pull 25 days of data, that's a lot of data. That might be too much data. So it doesn't really work all that well. All right, this is still in a downtrend. And because we're going into winter, having that kind of knowledge of typically it goes up in the winter because of its seasonality and it's the use that people heat their homes with it. I'm not going to short it and think that we're going to be in that trade super long, because one bad news report comes out that says the Midwest is going to get 2 feet of snow in October and you're screwed. So not a good one. Let's go to micros. The Russell. What is the Russell doing? I got to take some of the data off, especially if I'm going to go to a low time frame. It's going to really cause me some issues. I have a pretty strong computer, but it's more of the internet situation that is going to cause the problem. It's coming into an area of sellers. Clearly, right? But this was this during the daytime? Yeah, this was daytime selling pressure. Might be something to not take a buying trade into if you can get a pullback somewhere into here, maybe on a lower time frame. Nothing there. See, there's that zone or that area. And that's even a good one too. That's a W, right? So this would be the area that you're like, damn, that's probably going to hold some selling pressure off of. But again, going into a Powell speech, maybe a dangerous trade to take. And it might work right through it. This is another reason, again, I've said it a bunch, but indexes are really hard to short for me because they typically just go up. That's but you got that many companies behind you, and the majority of the market gains value. It typically does not lose unless you're really in like a downtrend of some sort. Alrighty. Yeah, it just walked right through that sucker. This is probably very small on whatever screen I'm showing this on. I know these levels don't help. So Powell's talking right now. He just started talking a minute ago. One minute. Yeah. So this might be just news based. I don't really think there's anything else going on because this all doesn't look super great to me. Doesn't mean it's not going to get some sort of pull back into it. Wish I could have stayed in that NASDAQ trade because the NASDAQ kind of took off. That would have been nice, but I also probably wouldn't have gone and gotten my Bitcoin trade down here. So pros and cons to both of them. And this, again, I'm trying to load 15 days of data for 1 minute candles. That is a lot of candles. I don't know how many candles that is, but it's more candles than I probably should be trying to load. Yeah. That was a decent one right here, right? Touch, broke through, touch. This would have been a better area from wick to wick, probably. Where this one doesn't really, it's not at the high. It's kind of in the middle of this. So that's not the best. Yeah. Let's go check on my Bitcoin and see what is happening here. Well, I was doing good for a second. I do have some small basing candles in here that broke a previous high. That might hold up. I'm not opposed. Let's see on a 2 minute if that looks any better. Not horrible. Not horrible. It's bouncing back off that little area there. We're going to work our way through some of these time frames and see what we can find in here. So yeah, we have a little bit of buyers. Some sellers stepped in and stopped the market. Buyers pushed back through. So it wouldn't be horrible to move a stop like into here and say, okay, if it starts to break through some of this and starts to make a downtrend on a small time frame, I'm out. But if it wants to keep its little uptrend on a small time frame, we'll stay in it. We're up a decent little amount here. Nothing crazy because it's a micro. Obviously, it's not huge by any means, but it's still kicking around. Let's see. Let's go back to the NASDAQ and see what the NASDAQ's doing now. Not on a 3 minute chart. 1 minute. Oh, come on. Wow, this is slow. There it is. I'm going to probably pull off those 15 days of data. Maybe we'll go 10. That'll help next time I go to load something. It won't be so freaking slow. And it looks like we're sitting, waiting for Powell to say something that the market likes or doesn't like. So probably not a trade in here I'm willing to get into at this moment. And for Bitcoin, we're still sitting below these lows. So hopefully these lows can kind of help protect us a little bit. But maybe not. We're going to see. Let me see. I'm going to pull back up what he is potentially saying. Forex Factory. Well, okay. So Powell said before the U.S. government shut down, data suggests growth may be better than expected. Okay, like that's good, but also the government's still shut down, so that sucks. I'm gonna get stopped out of this thing. It broke my little low here, and I don't love that. I don't know. We'll see. Either way. Okay. Fed meeting. I don't really want to listen to him speak because I don't really care that much. I mean, he talks in circles most of the time because he's trying to protect what he's going to say from saying anything too outrageous to freak the market out and piss people off. But who knows? See if there's any updates. No updates. Last one was at 9:24. Was the last update. Fed Bowman said he wants 2 more rate cuts before the end of the year. I mean, that's positive news. People love a good rate cut. So, hey, I didn't get stopped out. Look at that. Oh, nice. Thanks, guys. All right. I think I'm probably good with leaving this guy alone. I'll come back in a little bit and check on it, but you guys won't see that. So, all right. Well, I'm out of here. See you later. Thanks for watching.